And then centering in. You can let your eyes close if that's comfortable, or just let your gaze soften, looking in front of you. Begin to notice your breath in and out. Sensing the physical sensation of your body. Your breath moving in it, your body held where you're sitting. Notice those gentle sounds of Roger's guitar washing over you, settling into your cells, opening you to the presence. Right here, right now. Right where I am, I breathe. Right here, right now, we breathe. Right here, right now. Feel your heart go deeper. Your soul go deeper. Your love go deeper, resting, embodied in the source of love. Part of the fabric of love. Right here. Right now. Right where we are. In this moment, and this moment, with this breath, with this yes, we go deeper and deeper into the heart of love. And so it is. As you come back into awareness of the room that you're in, if you're in this room, I invite you to take a look around at these embodiments of blessing. If you are home, If you are with a beloved, look at each other as the blessings that you are. If you're alone, watching YouTube on your phone, turn your phone into selfie mode and take a look at the embodiment of love that you are. So I have to say, it has really been such a gift. I feel like almost for a month since we had our celebration of the International Day of Peace, and I pulled out a book that had been sitting on my bookshelf for a long time, the Beatitudes of Peace and the Gospels of Peace, 2 books by Father John Deere, D-E-A-R, not the tractor fellow. I have felt such a rich dive into the words of these Beatitudes, and interestingly that Sam chose to find some translations of the Aramaic, because one of the books that first drew me to the Beatitudes is a tiny thin book by Neil Douglas Klotz that is Prayers of the Cosmos, that looks at some of those different translations of the Lord's Prayer and the Beatitudes and other very familiar sayings that have, it's like the game telephone. You start with one person and it goes around the room and you're like, wait, is that what I said? So here is just a little bit of landing from a book called The Gentle Art of Blessing by Pierre Pradervand. You cannot grow spiritually if you are burdened mentally by the habit of judging others, right? Those knots that we tangle ourselves up in. You cannot grow spiritually if you are burdened mentally by the habit of judging others. I also love that he adds, but do not take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Try to systematically replace every single thought of judgment with blessing. I just heard a whew here in the room. He then quotes spiritual philosopher David Spangler, who writes, blessing is not a technique we perform, but a presence we embody. It is not an act we do to someone or something, but a relationship we form with them. Blessing is not a technique, it is a presence. I would say it is the presence with a capital P, the presence that we embody. So here, I do really take some pleasure in translating in my own Reverend BB way some of those traditional, familiar passages. But I relied I relied heavenly and heavily on what I'm about to share with you, on the Beatitudes of Peace, of course, because that is what I've been working with over these weeks, but also Prayers of the Cosmos by Neil Douglas Klotz and Eric Butterworth, The Power Within You. The whole of chapter 6 is the Beatitudes. So I appreciate that a few folks reminded me of that, and it helped me go back to something I haven't read in a while. So I'm going to start, interestingly enough. Sam and I did not plan this, by the way. Spirit did. So I'm going to read you the familiar English translation of the Beatitudes, and then I am going to share with you how I have come to feel both the challenge and the gift of awakening to embodying these blessings. So it's not quite a meditation, but I invite you to, like we do in meditation, to let your awareness kind of shift into, you may not remember every word, but to allow your heart to hear the words and see how they land. Don't take my word for it. Try it on for yourself. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Arise and walk forth, you who empty yourself of willful pride, surrendering to the source. You who are open to inflow and outpouring of all there is in God. You embody heaven, the potential of spirit alive in your human form. Blessed are they who weep and mourn. They shall be comforted. Arise and walk forth aligned with the One. You whose heart is in turmoil, who weep and mourn as you are led beyond your challenges. You shall be united inside by love, for you embody God's compassion. Blessed are the meek. They shall inherit the earth. Arise and walk forth, you who have softened what is rigid within you, with gentleness and humble recognition of your humanness. You who have attuned yourself to the source, centered in God, you embody the strength and life of the universe. Blessed are they that hunger and thirst for righteousness and justice, for they shall be filled. Arise and walk forth, you who are aligned with the One. You who long for a foundation of inner peace, who hunger and thirst for physical justice, who seek the source with your whole mind and heart. For you embody what is needed to birth a new society, a heaven on earth. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Arise and walk forth, you who are tuned to the source. You who from your inner womb birth and embody mercy. You who live life first from within. Center your mind and heart on mercy and feel its warm arms embrace you. Blessed are the pure of heart, they shall see God. Arise and walk forth healed, you who have the courage and audacity to feel abundant inside. You whose lives radiate from a core of love. You who center your thoughts on the good, the true, on the beauty of all creation. You shall see the divine essence alive everywhere. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Arise and walk forth, attuned to the infinite, you who plant peace in each season. You who bear the fruit of sympathy and safety for all. You shall hasten the coming of God's new creation, for you are unrepeatable expressions of God potential, radiating peace and love. There are those other Beatitudes that talk about, blessed are you who are persecuted in my sake. But since I sort of ended with peacemakers over the last weeks, I decided to rest us there. Arise and walk forth. Center ourselves on God. That word that some of us trip over, that some of us find great comfort in the word God, and some of us like to substitute source or the infinite. In our humanness, it is so hard to grasp what that little three-letter word might mean. So we come back always to, what does it mean to me? To remember that I embody the blessing of the creative force that created me. What does it mean to be both blessed, to receive that from each other, from our source, and to then remember that we embody it? We embody blessing by being present. We are never apart from our being. We cannot be apart from our being. And yet often, even in small ways, the ways that we tangle each other up in knots, the ways that we recognize that there are plenty of voices and actions around us by beings created in the image and likeness of God that are not acting from that space. The joyful, peaceful rallying around our city, around the country, around the world to say, this is not right or left, this is right or wrong. How do we treat our neighbors? And we are all neighbors. We are born to be peacemakers. And I do feel often like I stand up here doing true confessions to say, it's easy for me to say, y'all embody blessing, isn't that great? And I forget the challenge of remembering that I embody blessing. Sometimes it's that. But it is very often, it's the this, pointing to another. And yes, we are called to speak up, to work, to live as peacemakers, as people who remember that our source has given us everything we need to see the divine essence everywhere on earth, everywhere in the universe, beyond what we can see and sense in our human bodies. So in that call, that commissioning that Jesus gave us to love one another, Love God with your whole heart, your whole mind, your whole strength. Mind, heart, body. Love God with everything that is in you. And love your neighbor as yourself. We do not have to receive blessing, although we share blessing with each other. It's something that we awaken to. Because when I am with you, and I am touched by the way you embody the blessing of love, then it awakens that in me as well. And that is the gift of community. That is the gift of showing up for people who are way more afraid to show up as peace than we are. That is the gift of holding the paradox that we are these blessings. And yet, in our humanness, we forget. We go back to sleep. We close our eyes to the cries of the poor, to the hungry. We close our ears, we close our hearts. Because we can be safe in our own little bubbles. We are the embodied blessing of a creative force that put us here. The perfect embodiments for this moment. We don't have to do all of the work by ourselves. We are here to embody the work of God on earth. To be love, to be peace, to recognize that meek means that we rely on the power of Christ love, that we rely on the power of Spirit to enliven us and embolden us to be love in action. Whether that love is showing up to serve people who are hungry, to fix sidewalks, to share your gifts of music, to share food downstairs, to share friendship and conversation during coffee hour. We are called to show up for each other, to be reminders that we are love. So I invite you to look in the mirror tonight, maybe before bed so it sweetens your dreams. Look yourself in the eyes and say to yourself, beloved child of God, you are blessing. Let me know what you find from yourself when you look yourself in the eye and remember, you are beloved. Set your heart on that love and let yourself embody the blessing that you are. Walk forth. Arise. Take heart. Be love. Ask for help when the way feels hard. Untangle the knots. Release the judgment, and release the judgment that you turn on your own tender heart. And in that way, we will truly be seen by all that come into our circle We will be recognized as the people of the Beatitudes, as the people of love, as the people of mercy. We are commissioned. Let us disarm the tangled knots of our own hearts and go forth to let that light and that love shine in every corner. And so it is. Amen.